It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's the pregame. With your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready, because we pregame harder than the other show's party. It's the pregame.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit.
Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio.
That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Mobile banking from Truist actually works for you. It gives you simple, smart, personalized insights to keep you one step ahead. Because we think that's the kind of control you deserve over your money. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Truist. Download the mobile app now.
At Tyson, we know taste is local. Some like their beef pit smoked, their chicken spiced all the way up, or their pork sweet and saucy. Local flavors, global impact. That's what feeding the world is all about.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's the pregame. With your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready, because we pregame harder than the other show's party. It's the pregame.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit.
Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio.
That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry. But please stay on hard.
All right, hello and welcome to a live edition of the BCSN SportsWrap. I'm Bryan Fulford. Could be partially delayed, Bryan Fulford, and that's A.D. Drew. A.D. Drew.
Yep.
He might be running live.
You look like that new commercial. You know, the one is an All-State commercial where the guy is talking about the internet at home and your internet decides to go spotty.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
what you look like.
and look,
Mayhem
and
right now.
Mayhem, nice. You know, the sad part is, and so look, they're not paying us any money here, but I'm using, you know, I'm using a particular cell phone services 5G internet, and they claim,
Well, they owe
you
you
know,
about
they
4 more
claim,
G's.
yeah, they owe me about 4 Gs, and I may have to contact them again. And I'm trying to avoid going to the named cable company, but I may just have to go. Man, I don't know what's going on here, and it always seems about the shows. Maybe we just need to change start times on these shows, Drew. Maybe, but it's a me problem, not you.
I'm glad you recognize.
Yeah, yeah, problem. So bear with me, folks. See, hopefully, you know, good show for you as the internet holds up. But we'll see how it affects the session. Usually, it'll get better. Hopefully, kind of old engine. You know, once it gets rolling, won't have a chance to warm up. You know, but that, you know, the sad part is not how the internet's supposed to work, is it, Drew? We all understand that part, right? That's not how it's
No,
work.
sir.
So
No,
hey,
it's not.
look, obviously, yeah, it's the holiday weekend. It's the King holiday weekend, and for many of us educators, we are, and there's no work tomorrow. So we'll find a way to keep ourselves occupied and busy. I go on about today. Big weekend, big Saturday in HBCU football, Drew. And this is our favorite time of year. Obviously, it's two basketball guys and early conference slate. We've already got some upsets. We're only 2 weeks in to our HBCU, BCSN top fives, and we've got number one teams that won. We had some big, significant winning streaks, uprooted. So plenty to talk about in today's show. We've also got, I'm going to call it Coaches Gone Wild, Drew. Maybe that's the only thing I can call it. Coaches Gone Wild. I'll leave it at that. We'll
Is it
talk about
Coach S or is one particular coach?
one particular coach on social media, and man, I tell you, he is lighting up the internet right now. All of EU sports and media is a buzz right now, and I don't want it to stop. You know, it's entertaining. Yes, it's sad. It's like watching a, you know, an accident on the side of the road. It's sad, but step away for a second. Put that feeling of sadness to the side, and you just shake your head, and maybe you might laugh a little bit. I don't know. That's just me. I have a weird sense of humor, so that's just me. But we'll talk about Ed Reed and a couple of rants that he's been on in the past 24 hours. Not even a full 24 hours, and he's fired off some epic. I guess they're TikToks or Instagram posts, Instagram lives. Woo. So we'll talk about that. Second hour, our good friend Jamie Walker would join us for the first time in 2023. North Carolina A&T State making some moves recently. They just had their press conference, announcing the new head coach, and also some interesting statements coming out of A&T, Drew, regarding their plans for the future and what they're going to do to raise funds and raise of their budgets. So they are at a competitive level schools in the Colonial Athletic Association, and I love it. I love hearing kind of news. Wishing my alma mater would do these type of things, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So we'll talk about that. Maybe even share a little news with the new AD about the new AD. Some new ADs all over the place, Drew. I mean, it's 2023. I mean, the female administrators of it's a real thing now. I think if we did a roll call, Drew, on just the number of women leading sports leagues and university athletic departments, I would say we're trending towards, I don't know, maybe the 35% mark, maybe 40. It feels pretty
We're
significant.
trending
I
in the
don't know.
right direction.
Yeah,
However you want to frame it, we are trending in the right direction.
yeah. I'd love to hear from anybody who actually done the math and the numbers. I mean, obviously, we know that among the major sports leagues, conferences, we've got in place 3 of the 5 are women, and then in terms of the schools, we, again, I know Central State recently just hired somebody. Hampton, I believe, just hired somebody, or at least came in as an interim, and so, and of course, for them starting at the beginning of January, a
South
female.
Carolina State.
North Carolina. Who?
South Carolina State. They have a
South
female
Carolina
interim.
State.
Don't forget about out at Langston, Danita. What is Danita's last name? She's been there for a long time as athletic director. I said, at Langston, out at Langston. So she might be the senior most of the female administrators that we have. That's just going off the top of my head.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Also, look, the Buzz Fisk University will on full display in Athens, Georgia tomorrow on MLK Day as the Fisk Gymnastics women gymnastics team is back on the mat at the University of Georgia. But there's a second school that's entering into the gymnastics space. So we'll talk about that college and university here coming up as well. So we'll talk about plenty to talk about. Hopefully we can get all to it. I want to remind you, if you're watching the show, please go ahead and hit up that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram page at my BCSN on the number 1. If you're already tuned in, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, hit the like, subscribe, and download the Jericho Broadcast Networks app on the Google Play and Apple App Store. Just search my JBN, my BCSN, so you can find it. And always check out the podcast, later replays of all of our shows in audio format on the BCSN Pod Zone. All right, Drew, you ready to talk about some streaks that came to an end over the weekend?
We talked about team streaking, not people streaking, right? You remember that back in the 70s
team
and 80s
streaking,
when people
yes.
decide to streak.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Okay, look, how do I say this? Is that a Euro-centric Caucasian thing, or do you see many African American? I can't recall seeing an African American streaker. I don't remember seeing one. Can you recall seeing one at all, or hearing about one at all?
No.
Or do we just chalk that up to something they do that we don't do?
That's something that if we have been known to do it, we don't brag about it. Hey, I got arrested yesterday for running down the street butt naked. We don't say, well, bro, you crazy. You might want to go apply for a check. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah, it's something I'm gonna chalk it up to something
you might
they
walk around
do.
the house like that, but not.
Yeah. So yeah, no. We're talking teams. All good streaks come to an end, and Jackson State women and their basketball program. Not too many times that you get a sports show that'll lead off with women, but it's been the most impressive streak for quite some time, and it deserves all of the flowers and props that it deserves. Coming into Saturday's contest on the road, mind you, against Prairie View A&M, Jackson State 3-0 in conference play. They had won 4 in a row in general, and going into the fourth quarter, had a 47-41 lead, and then the Prairie View A&M Panthers just shot the lights out of the ball. Outscored them 28-18 in the fourth quarter alone. Jackson, when you go back and look at the box score of this game, Drew, the only significant thing, I mean, it was a pretty even ball game, and the only significant thing, of course, outside of the 28-18 in the fourth quarter, turnovers. Jackson State committed 27 turnovers. Prairie View committed 11, but then what do you always think of after turnovers? You always go to look at points off of turnovers.
Steals.
Well,
I go to steals, then points off of turnovers, because steals are live ball turnovers, which lead to points off of turnovers. Because you usually don't get static points off of turnovers if you throw the ball out of bounds or get called for a travel.
Okay, well, the steals, you know what? Okay, check the steals. I'm kind of glancing back to take a peek at them, but I can tell you the points off turnover, there was no advantage real. I mean, Prairie View, I think, had like 17 points off turnovers, but Jackson State had 13 off a turnover. So there wasn't a gained advantage. Say 4 points and you lose by 4. I get it. You can say it. But it didn't seem to me that statistically that the key point, Prairie View had 4 players. When I go and look at the box score, they had 4 players in double figures, a low number of players in double figures as I reopen my page here and look at the score in the contest from the other night. Jackson State was led by Jericho Covington, who had 22 points off the bench in 33 minutes played. Again, Prairie View had players in double figures. 3 of them had 12 points, and the other had 10. Then they had a couple players with 6 points, one with 7. So really balanced scoring. And you were asking about the steals, Drew. Prairie View had 14 steals contest, 14 steals. Jackson State only had 7. There's your key stat. There's your key difference. But all in all, the shooting, I mean, Jackson State went line 33 times. They were 25 of 33 at the free throw line. Prairie View went to the free throw line 24 times. I always like to look at the team that makes more free throws than the other team attempted, which in this case, Jackson State made more free throws than Prairie View attempted. Prairie View was 16 of 24 from the line. Jackson State shot better from the field than Prairie View. The 3-point shot the same. Again, where did you win and lose the ball game, Drew? I don't know. Maybe those 4 points off of turnovers was the difference in the ball game. So what does that mean for Jackson State's streak? And now, I like to look at this, Drew. There's 2 ways you can look at this streak that Jackson State was on. They were on a 40-game SWAC game streak, meaning 40 consecutive SWAC games. That's regular season and tournament streak
40.
Comes to an end.
40
games.
40. 4-0. Want to make sure we can put that
0.
Because your internet's a little choppy. I want to make sure everybody understands that. 4-0.
That's going to be called.
That's 34. That's 34 consecutive regular season games plus 6 tournament games to equal the 40.
Yep, the last loss was January 4th, 2021. Just 2 years and 11 days 2 years and 11 days ago. That was the last time Jackson State and head coach Tamika Reed had lost a game, and that too was also on the road. So let that be a significant note. And pop quiz: does anyone know who that last opponent was? Don't say it, Drew. I know you know, but let's see if anybody out there. I know you. I know you know. Yeah, but yeah, that last back in 2021 was a great contest that they lost to the Hornets of Alabama State, and so Jackson State can speak because now. What were we gonna add? Go ahead.
I was gonna say what was amazing about that loss, if we remember, that went back to the COVID year of 2021, and Alabama State did not play any non-conference games. They went directly into SWAC play, and that was their second SWAC game of the year. It was a home game for them, and they defended their home court, knocked Jackson State off for basically the only loss in over two. This is only their second loss in over 2 calendar years, Brian.
Right. Right. Good point on that one. Good point on that. So yeah, they that was pretty significant, very significant moment there. So Jackson State Prairie View now moves into a tie for first place now, and we'll kind of come back a little bit later, circle back and talk about the standings for the women. Let's go to the second big headline. This one on the men's side. And this one was a 19-game home winning streak. 19 home winning streak that came to an end for the Norfolk State Spartans. Although it was a bit controversial. There at the end of the ball game. And Drew, let me see. Do you have the video of this ready? Those of you who are watching,
Yes,
we've got the video. So let me set this up for those who are maybe watching it later and you don't have the audio or you don't have the video version of this. I'm gonna kind of here go to the Spartans.com page. Norfolk State's Joe Jr. with a very nice move, which you'll see here in just a moment. And read the wordplay here in this article from NSU Spartans, right? Norfolk State's Joe Bryant Jr. pass gracefully for an acrobatic go-ahead basket with 1.4 seconds left to play. But as you'll see from the video, pretty interesting from that point. Turn it over to our producer, A.D. Drew, with live video. Courtesy of who was it on Twitter that we pulled this video from? Great sideline work there.
David Hall, VP.
All right, David Hall, VP. Nice job on the camera work, David. Here we go. Let's watch. Nice spin move to the basket. The celebration. Uh-oh. Let's watch
that
again here.
Pay attention to the clock,
how
everybody,
about
in
the
the right-hand corner. Great spin
There's the
move.
Clock to the basket.
A couple people said there may have been a travel on the drive. I did not see a travel on the drive.
I didn't see a travel.
Great spin.
Nice spin move.
Quick 1-2. Very athletic play.
Now, okay, so I'll finish reading the article. But an ensuing technical foul on the Spartans bench sent Howard to the line for the tying and winning free throw. Referring to, Drew, is if you notice celebration, there were some guys in yellow shirts that came running from the right towards the base. I think we have another angle which shows that. another angle which shows what led to the technical.
Wait a minute. Let's show this steel frame on this one first.
All right, let's show the steel frame on this. Okay, lots of things going on. Is this the steel frame after the bucket? Okay, so
yeah,
the bucket has scored. Now, if you look right underneath the basket, okay, there's some guys in yellow shirts. Well, where'd they come from? Let's look at the replay. Watch the guys in yellow shirts. Guys in yellow shirts coming from off the bench. Off the bench. Why are they guys coming? There's more guys coming off the bench. Oh, my goodness. There's the referee trying to stop all the madness that's going on at the bottom. It's chaos there at Echoes Arena, and the Spartans are going wild. There's a guy that's standing there on the baseline stanchion as well. What's he doing? Anyway, that was the technical foul that was called for players leaving the bench.
Let's take a look at it from this angle, Brian.
All right, another angle. Here's another angle after the game shot, or we thought the game-winning shot by Joe. Oh, this is great. This is great. A guy in the corner. Great inbound. There's Bryant going to the bucket. Scored. Oh, wait a minute. There's a guy. There's 2, 3 guys that just ran in front of the official. Holy cow. Watch the official. Going to the bucket. 31. He's already left the bench. There goes a couple other guys that leave the bench area. Unbelievable. One last time. Now notice there's official here. There's the official. You'll see him coming to the right side right there. There's the official. Who was that who just ran in front of the official? Wait a minute. Who are these guys that just ran in front of the official, Drew? Are those guys off the bench? Holy cow. And how much time was left on the clock? 1.2 seconds, I believe. All right. So technical foul is called. Now,
and
when
that video,
I saw this, I answered.
Go ahead.
You were saying you were going to give credit to who that video came from. So
I was going to give credit to that one because we didn't put the graphic up on the screen. I got to find it. That one is courtesy of HBCU League Pass. That's courtesy of HBCU League Pass. That last video was courtesy of HBCU League Pass. They tweeted that video out.
Okay, so that must have been the phone that captured that moment.
Yeah.
Well, so a couple things to unravel here, Drew, because Coach Robert Jones none too happy how that all played out at the end of the game. And, I'm just going to read Coach's tweet, which this is Coach sending it out about 8:04 p.m. Saturday night. It's never a good thing when you jump on Twitter after you've had a tough game.
Don't mad tweet.
Yes. Not a good thing tweet. So Coach says, in my 22 years of coaching, I have never, I want to read it right. In my 22 years of coaching, I will have never decided a game, but if you live long enough, you will experience everything. It happened tonight, exclamation point. If you game or watched, you know what I'm talking about, exclamation point, naked, exclamation. Now, what is Coach talking about, Drew? Does he feel like he was wronged? He feels like there was something wrong here.
I think he does.
Yeah, he does. One particular commenter, a guy by the name of Roop Ward, love the name Roop Ward, back at Coach and says, "Coach, that's the craziest thing I've heard all day. The action, your exclamation, all capital letters, put the refs in a position to have to make that call. If there is no storming of the court with time remaining, there is no call. Funny how you don't mention giving up a 20-point lead. Hell no. I mean, come on. I mentioned that in the heat of the moment. So Coach Jones replies, good first win in the last 10 attempts. Hats off to the Bison. They played solid, but it has nothing to do with them. If you are being objective and watch and or coach or play college basketball, here it is, Drew. And this is why I love bringing you on and why you get a chance to talk about this. A call like that never happened anywhere in the country. Anywhere in the country, all caps. Enjoy the win. Now, A.D. Drew, folks, for full disclosure, has been a high school and college official for about 20-something years now, Drew, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so Drew,
almost
I
20
want
years.
you to pull out the referee whistle and shirt, and let's break this play down. Explain to the people all of the intricacies of what you were watching as you watched the video replay. And then also you brought up something really good because you had to go back into the play-by-plays to find out something very interesting about that moment in the game. So I turn it over to the
And,
official, A.D. Drew.
make sure I get my
Get your
camera
camera
right.
squared away.
I want to get my
Get your
camera
camera
squared
squared
away.
away. Yeah, get your camera right. Get your camera right.
And I'm going to say this in advance, Brian. Excuse me if I start nerding out on the official language during this explanation and rant. Please feel free to cut me off, Brian, because I may nerd out a little bit on this. Okay.
I got you. I'll reel you back in.
Okay. There are 3 officials on the basketball court for a collegiate basketball game. Everybody knows that. What people do not know is each one of those officials actually has a specific assignment, especially in that play that's coming down to the wire. Just like those teams called a timeout and designed that play, designed their defense, the officials tend to get together and huddle up and make sure in that situation that everyone knows what their primary responsibility is, what their secondary responsibility is, and what you may be able to offer information on. There are 3 different levels. Just like if you were on that play, Brian, and you were a defender, you know who your primary offensive guy that you're defending, and you've got help on the secondary. So just kind of keep it on a sports analogy. All right. You had the official inbounding the ball. You have the one that was opposite of the play. You've got 2 officials on the ball side, one inbounding the ball, one on the baseline or the end line, depends on what language you like to use. Then you've got what's called the center official, which is the C, which is the one opposite, the one by himself. That C official specifically has the clock. So when that ball goes through the basket, the first thing his eyes are trained to do is find the clock, see how much time is left on the clock. And in college basketball, we know the clock stops after every made basket. Correct, Brian?
Yes.
Okay. But sometimes because people are running these clocks manually and they get caught up in the excitement of the game, they may not stop that clock or may not stop it on time. The official at that point in time has the right to put time back on the clock and make that adjustment if necessary. All right, that's number 1. Number 2, the other thing that those officials need to know is what is the timeout situation at that point in time. This is what I went back to the play-by-play to find out. Howard, the team that was scored on, how many timeouts did they have left? From what I was able to deduct off of the play-by-play, Norfolk had 2 timeouts. Howard had 0 at that point. So, the reason the timeouts are important is that trail official who inbounded the ball, After he referees the play, make sure there are no fouls and travels and double dribbles and everything else. Then his job is to take a quick glance at Howard's bench to see if that coach is calling a timeout, while listening verbally for the timeout from that Howard bench. Well, actually from either bench at that point in time. But he's primarily concerned about Howard because they're the team that's trailing. And then if both coaches call a timeout, then obviously you have to determine which one called it first. The reason why I know that Howard had no timeouts noted this because Howard had no timeouts. So that's one thing he does not have to worry about is listening for Howard's timeouts, which leads to number 3 and why this was a bad thing for Norfolk State. The fact that Howard did not have a timeout, there was no reason for that play to be stopped, except for the fact that you had players leaving the bench and running onto the court. I'll go get to your question in just a second, Dr. Cavill. I just saw your question pop up. Thank you for listening and tuning in, Dr. Cavill. The fact that those players ran onto the court and prevented Howard from inbounding the ball, that is why the technical foul was called. In addition to just the simple fact, 6 players on the court. Now, Dr. Cavill just asked a very good question. Go ahead.
Let me ask a question because it wasn't just now before you go into answering his question. There were also fans, or it appears to be, looks like some fans got into the excitement and found themselves from the left sideline to where Joe Bryant fell by the basket stanchion. Care to talk about, add that in there into the conversation as you talk about what happened going forward?
Court control or crowd control is responsibility of the home team. In this case, that was Norfolk State. So those fans coming onto the court, just like the players coming onto the court, are technically the responsibility of the head coach by rule. Now, the head coach passes it goes to home team administration, but the only way that you can adjudicate that is against the head coach in that situation. Also, once again, that could be a technical foul call for those fans being on the court and disrupting the flow of the game. Now, some people may ask, why not a delay of game in this instance? Because there is a delay of game rule. Unfortunately, that does not fall under the one of the 4 categories in which you can issue a delay of game. Those 4 categories for delay of game warning are water on the court. Let's see if I can remember all 4 of them. I know you've got water on the court. You've got breaking the plane on an inbound, huddling, huddling and taking too long at the free throw area. Those 3. There's
the basketball out of the net.
Yes, throwing the basketball out of that, not letting it come at the disposal of the inbounding team. Those are the 4 areas in which a delay of game warning can be issued. That did not fall up under those 4 categories. Henceforth, the technical foul was called. Why is it a 2-shot technical foul instead of a 1-shot technical foul? Because, and the rule may have changed, but over the last couple of years, because they have changed some of the technical foul rules over the last couple of years. But I believe that goes as an unsportsman technical foul, which means that is a 2-shot foul or is a class 1 technical foul, as they like to call classified as a class 1 technical foul, which are 2 shots. And the 2 shots. Now, what I do not remember, and I'll be first honest to say with this, I do not remember if it's 2 shots at the point of interruption or 2 shots at the ball. That I would have to look up. but it is a technical foul. And I could probably go to the play-by-play and see how they adjudicate that.
I'm on it.
Whether it was
I'm on it.
who had the ball after the technical foul?
Howard. Well,
so it was 2 shots. But Howard had the ball anyway,
Norfolk
so
State
we
had
don't
to
know.
commit right. Well, Norfolk State had to commit a foul, so it goes after the jumper by Bryant. You have a foul tech by Norfolk State. Then Elijah Hawkins makes 2 free throws to now give Howard a 1-point lead. Then Norfolk State calls a 30-second timeout. Then you have a foul by Joe Bryant with less than a second left. And then Jelani Williams goes to the line, makes the first one to make it a 2-point game, and then missed the next one. And essentially,
Probably
there was a rebound, and that was that intentionally right, and then that was the ball game.
Right, and here's something that's important. In men's basketball, it goes to the point of interruption, which means that Howard actually still had to inbound the ball and go technically the entire length of the court. They had to inbound the ball from the end line, not from half court, like you see in high school basketball. There's a big difference, which goes to show the defense. So technically, if Norfolk could have got the steal right there, they were in the backcourt at their basket at that point after the technical foul. So, but long story, Coach Jones, you were wrong. And I hate to say
now,
it,
here's some
you
other...
were wrong. You were wrong. You were wrong, Coach Jones. That's a technical foul. I would hate to be put in that position as an official, but it's your job and your assistant's job to control your players, your bench, just as if there was a punch thrown on the court. It is your job to make sure that your players do not come off of the bench and participate in the ruckus going on the court.
There also, Drew, seems to be, as I'm reading the interaction here in Coach Jones's tweet with Roop Ward, that there seemed to be, as Roop describes it, the part about laughing during the conversation with you is acceptable, as I don't know when this, conversation took place, but Coach Jones replies and said it was the official assigner sitting at the table laughing about the situation. That's not even funny at all at that moment. And thanks, man, just trying to keep elevating the brand of everyone in the MEAC. Another person, Bishop K.W. Brown, replies back to Coach and says, totally agree. The official should never be the decider of the outcome. Tonight that happened, but we are SU. Robert Jones, again, doubled down and said, then the head assigner, when I confronted him about those calls, literally laughed in my exclamation point, capital letters, laughed in my face. That was professional. And then he tweeted out at MEAC Sports. Drew, explain the relationship of now, like there's a lot going on here, and I'd be willing to. When you play these conference games, look, everyone knows everybody. The conference office is right there in Norfolk, Virginia. So I'd be surprised if, Coach Jones and the MEAC office have some conversations on Tuesday morning about some of the events. If not, Eddie haven't had some comments about tweets from Coach. But talk a little bit about, quickly, Drew, the relationship here. As best, and we're speculating because we don't have story. When you hear that, obviously relationships are important. Talk a little bit about the coach official relationship as you've seen it in college basketball, and how something that may look unprofessional, but is it really a deciding factor in the ball game?
It shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. Now, there are certain rules and certain stipulations about games you should or should not call. Like for instance, you will rarely see an official say who was a graduate of Howard or Norfolk State on a Howard or Norfolk State basketball game. But there is a stipulation that if you have been not associated with that school after X amount of years, and every conference assigner has its own specific rules, then you can do it. But when I say no association, that means you're no longer associated with them. You don't have any kids going there, your wife, etc., etc., etc. So they really want to make sure that they separate that bias out of the situation. That's not saying you could not have gone to any other school in that conference, but it would be like me calling a Tuskegee basketball game. It would not be good, you know. So, and for me, because I've been in that situation on certain levels, I don't even want to call a game that may affect how their record. I don't even want to call one of their opponents in doing certain situations. I'll call them after they've played them, but I don't want to do it before they play them. So just some other things. But that relationship between coaches and look, they see these guys 4, 5, 6 times a year. Some in their own place, some in the other place. There is general conversations before the games. There's relationship with the conference assigner between the official and the coaches. Now, the conference assigner knows big games from just regular games. That's a rival game. You have to make sure that you have a crew that is able to handle the intensity of a rival game. All officials can't handle rival games. All officials can't handle certain levels of rival games. A Norfolk Howard rival game may be a little bit different than let's say, a Virginia State, Virginia Union rival game. Things like that. Alcorn Jackson State is a little bit of a different rivalry than Prairie View and Texas A&M. It's the same as far as for the fans go, but as far as how the coaches, how the players, and how the other things are, every rivalry is a little bit different. Everybody can't deal with certain levels of rivalry.
Hey, let's pivot here. Doc brings up an interesting question or a thought here. I'm reading right off the his comments here, and Doc says at the P5 level, most officials would have taken the opportunity to check the clock for time, which would have meant that he would not have had to call a technical. I guess okay. So I guess what Doc is in here, because the clock now, and so this is what here's what I'm wondering here. Joe Bryant makes the bucket. Are the officials? He's saying at the P5 level, are they? Again, Howard has no timeouts. By all indication, Norfolk State didn't call a timeout after they scored that bucket. So,
Correct.
Are the officials stopping the clock to go to video? And if they aren't they? And this is what I hate about the official. This I know here. This is what I hate about the tournament and video replay, because this is an advantage disadvantage thing here. Because Norfolk State shouldn't. If they do stop to check, then essentially what you're giving is a foul to
free
Howard,
timeout,
who doesn't have a timeout. It's a free, and I hate that. Absolutely hate that. But what do you, as you read and hear Doc's point, do you think that if they had, and this may be what Robert Jones is referencing, if after made, if the officials are going to look at the TV monitor to take a look at the time, are they technically calling, or are they actually calling a technical foul?
It would be a stoppage. It would be a stoppage in play, which could have been your out for not calling the technical foul. Here's a couple questions that we have to ask with that, Bryan and Dr. Cavill. A, was replay available? That's question number one. Was replay available? Number one. Number two, had there been a situation prior to in the game where they utilize replay? Because if you had replay technology and with 1.2 seconds left on the clock, Bryan, that's the first time that you decide to go to replay. I might have some questions about that if replay was available.
Right.
Number three, you're only going to replay if they think there may be some type of error. That's the official that I was telling you about. If he thought that the clock may have ran an extra 2/3 of a second after that ball went through, then it is up to him to stop the clock. So if he did not think that there was an error, then no, there may not be the necessity to go to replay. Now, this is when you get into officiating at the master's level, Bryan. There's this thing called preventive officiating that they always tell you to do. Assuming replay is available, then you take that as the opportunity to go to the clock, check the clock, even though you know the clock is right, to prevent having to call that technical foul. That is master's level officiating. If you and you frame it up, I was coming to check the clock, coach. You tell the Howard coach, I was coming to check the clock. We want to make sure that the clock was right to give you as much time as you're allowed there, coach. What about all those players on the court, coach? I had stopped it to come check the clock, so we have a dead ball that's inconsequential.
Well, okay, so I love this
That's how
discussion,
the
by the
conversation
way.
has to be.
Now, this is the advantage disadvantage that our HBCUs are working through. Doc says the NCAA mandates that all Division I games must have replay available. Hey, look, newsflash. There's some there. I don't know if all of our HBCU, SWAC, MEAC, I don't know if they're set up for that. That game was being broadcast, supposedly. I'm gonna leave it at that. I haven't seen the replay of the game because trust me, I was looking for it this morning, couldn't find it. I know there are plenty of SWAT games which don't get broadcast on TV. So who's mandating this? The NCAA, but are they loosely mandating it because everybody's not following it?
Is it a recommendation or a requirement? That would be the question. Is it recommended or required?
Yeah.
And we know there's a difference between those two words.
There is. And so
and I haven't officiated.
It's got to be a recommendation because I don't think they're not doing it. It's got to be a recommendation because I don't think everybody's using it. If they were all using it, there would be a requirement. I think what has to start happening from a conference level, and this is what conferences are going to end up doing here in the foreseeable future, as conferences begin to understand their power, their place, and working with different media entities and outlets, even the Black College Sports Network, full disclosure, requiring broadcasters to have A, B, C, and D. Now, with that said, it's also going to be incumbent upon universities and the game operations people to also make certain things available to those entities that are broadcasting your game. For example, television timeouts, media timeouts, things of that
TV
nature.
timeouts are mandated for all levels of basketball now. All NCAA
Okay,
levels of
but
basketball.
yeah, I just don't know if they're following them to the full letter, or maybe it's just there has to be a better coordination of operations between your media partners and the actual game operations. And so we're going to do a little digging. We got to find out, because that's a great thing here about what Doc brought up about the NCAA mandating that all D1 games must have replay. Well, they must not have had replay, and that might be an interesting angle, Norfolk State game, and why Coach Jones was so 38 mad, which, I'll be interested to hear more, and we'll try to find, maybe try to reach Jones and maybe kind of get some off the record background on what was going on, or maybe there's some history there. Some folks who are dialed into Norfolk State basketball and kind of really get a better sense of what Coach was mad about. Because if we're purely talking the situation as it played out, Drew, I think Norfolk State was at fault for their players storming the court. But then you add in the extra, what Doc was talking about, in terms of the TV review, and so that's a great breakdown. You Thank you, Dr. Cavill, for jumping in, some input as well. Always love it. Before we go to the break, Drew, I kind of mentioned another huge upset that happened, and that was to unbeaten Langston University. Langston ranked number 3 in the country in NAIA and number 1 in our BCSN top 5 for NAIA men's basketball. Went on the road and lost a tough ball game in conference to UNT Dallas, 60-95. That's North Texas, Dallas. That was on the road at this game was at Cedar Valley College. With the score tied at 65 with 42 seconds left remaining, UNTD moved in front behind back-to-back free throws from Vernon Johnson to make it 67-65. On the ensuing offensive possession, Anthony White of Langston missed a three-pointer that would have put Langston in front with 7 seconds remaining. And so that handed that loss dropped Langston to 16-1. So a 16-game winning streak to open the season under Coach Wright in his first year, by the way, at Langston. And they are 10-1 in the conference. Langston got 15 points and 11 rebounds from Toru Dean. AJ Rainey had 12. DeMonte Brown and Tristan Harper also had 11. Cedric Rowland had 10 for Langston. Langston collectively was 35% from the field. That's never a good sign. But they were 25 of 29 from the free throw line, 25 of 29. That's a pretty good average there. So they made up for it there. The Lions are back on the field, back on the court, excuse me, on Thursday, January 19th against Mid-American Christian at home. That's a 7:45 p.m. local time tip-off. So we'll see if Coach Wright and the Lions can get back out on the winning streak. But that's a tough loss for the number 3 team in the country, and it will. We'll talk more a little bit later about how the shakeup, how that affects. So, as you said, number 1 Norfolk State goes down. Number 1 Langston goes down. We had another upset, didn't we? On the women's side, Drew, didn't we have another women's number 1 team go down?
You had Savannah losing early. Was that this week or last week that Savannah State lost? They weren't number 1.
They lost earlier in the week. Their home streak came to an end earlier. I think that was last week.
Philander Smith lost. That's who it was.
Okay, yeah. They were number 1 in our poll. All right, let's take a break. Pretty long first hour, but
just like before we get out, Brian, you forgot to mention those home winning streaks. Did you mention the home winning streaks?
oh
Came to an end.
yeah,
This
great. Yeah, let
Virginia
me see
Union.
if I can.
I've got it right here in
Oh, you
front
have
of me.
them?
Virginia Union had
Okay.
a 28-game home winning streak, ended by Claflin. Winston-Salem State had a excuse me. Winston-Salem State had a 21 home winning streak, ended by Virginia Union. So Virginia Union was on both sides of winning streaks being ended. They had theirs ended, and then they ended someone else's in return. And of course, Howard ending Norfolk State 19-game home winning streak.
Right. To Stephen Gaither, HBCU Game Day, for dropping that nugget last night. Nice work, nice research there, Steve. All right, let's take a break. We're going to talk to Jamie Walker and find out why he is all excited about what's happening over at North Carolina A&T State. And we'll talk to him on the basketball and the football front coming up on the other side. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap with Bryan and A.D. We'll be back in a moment.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Mobile banking from Truist actually works for you. It gives you simple, smart, personalized insights to keep you one step ahead. Because we think that's the kind of control you deserve over your money. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Truist. Download the mobile app now.
At Tyson, we know taste is local. Some like their beef pit smoked, their chicken spiced all the way up, or their pork sweet and saucy. Local flavors, global impact. That's what feeding the world is all about.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's the pregame. With your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready, because we pregame harder than the other show's party. It's the pregame.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride.
Welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan Fulford here, joined by Bryan and A.D. here, joined by our good friend for the first time this year, seeing him, Jamie Walker. Jamie, how you doing, my man?
Man, I am great. How are you doing?
Hey, look, we're just enjoying this this space and watching coaches go wild, and we're watching the upsets happen, and it couldn't be any better. Second weekend of January, man. No rest for the weary.
Better than some, worse than others, Jamie.
Oh yeah.
So Jamie, obviously big weekend in basketball, but we're gonna get to that shortly because your Aggies are making noise and all in the football landscape, in athletics, all track, and they doing their thing. So it's like I had to bring on Jamie for this. But we got to talk about wild. That's how we're gonna call that segment here for the opening. Because Ed Reed, the new head coach, look, presumably the new head football coach at Bethune University.
I'm not sure.
No contract. We haven't seen an introductory yet. And according to Ed, the contract hadn't been signed. But anyway, he's the new head coach. But, all we have seen in 24 hours is some very interesting IG messages from Coach Reed, and we couldn't help ourselves. We don't take ourselves too serious times on this show, so we just gotta go play the clips, and especially this. Let Coach Reed say what he needs to say, Drew, because this first message came out sometime Saturday. I started circling around it. I think I first story by Kyle Mosley, HBCUs on he did a post this, and so I think this was this. So if you got it queued up, let's let Coach Reed in his own words say what he has to say about situations.
And parental discretion advised. He does drop a 4-letter word up in the middle of this tweet. So just want to cue everybody up on that.
And this is the first one. This is the first one that was aired that went out Saturday.
Man, for some reason it's not playing. There it is.
Prime was not wrong about what he was saying.
Audio.
All y'all out there with y'all opinions, full of crap, don't know shit.
Okay.
But needless to say, I just pulled up to work, We're gonna try to help y'all too, man, because I know a lot of HBCs need help. I'm just here to help here first. I see it all too clearly. All our HBCUs need help. And they need help because of the people who's running it. It's broken mentalities out here. I'm gonna leave y'all with that, man. I gotta get in the office. I hope y'all be blessed out there. 336, I see you, my bro. About to pull up in the office, bro. I gotta get out here. My guys already out here working. I've been here for a week and a half. I've been here for a week and a half and have done more than people that have been here in freaking years. And I'm not even hired yet. Damn shame. I holla.
Ooh.
All right. I don't know how that. I hope all that came across well. You know, my choppy internet service. Yeah, I hope hopefully all that came across well and clear. You know, my choppy internet service. I'd already seen it, so but for my purposes, two things that caught me that bothered the heck out of me. One where he had to make the fact that his office isn't clean. Okay. You know, a week and a half, as he said, but also he's been there a week and a half, and I got it quote, he's done more than people who have been here for years. Jamie, you've heard what's said now. You know, a lot of people be like, "Oh, Dion was right." I think that's where it started. That's where the headline was. Oh, Dion wasn't wrong. It's a broken mentality from. I mean, how does this sit with you as you listen to this? What are your thoughts on Ed Reed's comments?
I hate this because I'm not sure, and maybe it's something that we did as HBCU alum and wanting more of an even playing field, but for some reason, folks think that we need to be saved, and I think athletes that are being, and I actually tweeted some of this out. Athletes that have been on the upper echelon financially in their chosen profession are impatient and don't like to see certain processes go on and happen. Whether it's our institutions and whether they feel they're inefficient or they don't move fast enough for them. You know, it's you don't have to diss our institutions on social media. I think if you are tactful enough to see what's wrong, then come in and make a difference. Come in and see the kinds of things that and actually care about researching why things are the way they are. Bethune-Cookman especially, because I think when you're talking about what they've been through, especially in the football season, and even lately, you're talking about a couple of hurricanes. You're talking about other logistical stuff that has been at the forefront of their institution where they've had to do other things. I think you have to come in with an understanding. Now, this is without me knowing what's been going on for that last week and a half, so I can't, at the end of the day, I can't, speak to it completely, but I just think it's out of pocket to some degree to air out what you think is going on without giving context, because it becomes one-sided and you have a following. And so without, it was the same thing that I disagreed with in some of Coach Prime's airings when he had disagreements with what the processes were at Jackson State or HBCUs in general. There's some things that could be settled a different way, especially if you're trying to change the perception. Because I think what's coming in now is people see what you're saying. People run with those words, and you can even see in the comments on the IG live that this how HBCUs do. Yeah, they got stuff with them. Yeah, this and that. But the only difference is there are controversies that happen at PWIs as well. Their athletic programs just have the money to create the band-aid to cover those things up. So don't get into what we're doing if you don't paint the entire picture. In fact, his institution, if you study their history, you study the history of University of Miami, you might wanna talk about some things too that has been in that era. So it's just a bad look all around just because of the following. But I think it's a major. I think it's a way he could have handled that so much better.
What before my little thoughts in there? What do you got, Drew? What's your take?
I want to echo a little bit of what Jamie just said. Was it not too long ago where Bethune was facing accreditation issues? Was it not too long ago where Bethune was facing serious financial issues as an institution? I am not talking about athletically. We're talking about an institution that was one of the first to make the decision not to participate for the entire season of COVID. You're also talking about institutions who could not bring their players back until August 1st of that year. So they had no summer workouts. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there a hurricane last year in 2021 that forced this team to have to make adjustments? And then they had to do it not once, but twice this season. And when what should have been a good revenue gain because of other activities in the city of Daytona, they had to move that to Jacksonville, Florida. Now that might have been a win when they had to move that game to Jacksonville, Florida financially, but just for aesthetic purposes, having Dion in Daytona may have been a good. It definitely would have been a little bit more eye appealing because all 10,000 seats in that stadium would have been sold out. I believe that's like a 10,000 seat stadium, just shy of 10,000, even though they had good numbers in Jacksonville. So, but that's neither here nor there. So, Ed Reed, my brother. Hold up, Ed Reed, my brother. You came in behind the eight ball. I can't. I'm pretty sure they presented you. This is where we are at. We will be more than happy to take you, but this is where we are at. And I'm wondering if the contract negotiations are going on because just like at the P5 level, the institution can only pay so much. They have to fundraise the other. Now, the Alabamas, the Georgias, and everybody else has they have things in place. They have they have boosters. They have other entities in which to get that money to make up the difference. Because even Nick Saban, technically from the state Alabama, I think he only gets paid $400,000 from the state of Alabama. The rest of that $8, $9, $10 million that he gets paid comes from outside sources. So maybe they are trying to get those things, and Coach Theus is doing. And you have an athletic director who's in season as basketball coach. Now, I know there's an assistant athletic director who's probably handling 90% of the administrative things that are going on at that institution right now. But still, the person on record who's responsible for and who you report to is half his time he's on the road or he's worried about his in season. And but I will say this. It shouldn't be too hard to clean that man office though, but though it really should not be too hard to get you get a couple students. I'm pretty sure y'all got custodians there. You can get some boxes. Everybody got their paper boxes sitting around for when you're making all those copies. We could clean out the brother's office because when Coach Sims left, I guarantee you anything he left in that office, he didn't want. He left it there for a reason. So, all right, Coach Reed, what you want? Let's keep that. I want to keep that credenza. I want to keep that bookshelf. I don't need that desk. I keep that chair, but I got to get a new desk. Okay. All right, he done told you what he want to keep, what you need to get rid of. Now, get a dolly, get some muscle, and get the hauler.
have we all missed? Has anyone seen of the introductory press conference yet? To my knowledge, Mississippi Valley State has introduced their North Carolina A&T has introduced their coach, and Ed Reed was hired before both of those two men, or it was leaked before those two hired. I think I may be off, but I think Ed Reed's announcement was before those two. So the first question is, why hasn't Bethune had the formal announcement? What?
They don't have a contract.
Here's the first thing that I'm kind of okay. Might be the
I
contract.
answer that. They don't have a contract.
So Ed Reed doing more than Mary McLeod Bethune. Since I'm trying to figure out why he's doing more than anyone who's ever been there. Why is he doing more? I mean, why is he doing more? You haven't been officially. But I agree with you, Jamie. Great to have some context about what I mean. Is it really? It sounds like it's more than the cleaning of the office, right? There's got to be more than just cleaning his office, yeah? Because that wouldn't inspire the next rent, which came out today. Which see now, if that rent you're trying to understand, well, clean this. The next rant, you're like, okay, somebody get Ed Reed's phone because I don't understand what Ed Reed is doing here. I mean, at least look, there was always a strategy. We can look back on, can't we? We can look back. Coach Prime had a strategy with everything he did.
I'm pretty sure Reed has one too.
Does he?
We just haven't figured it out.
We just we just hadn't figured it out. I like that, but I felt like I can see Coach Prime's strategy as it was developing. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like Ed Reed's got a blowtorch in hand, and he's just like, you know what, this is how we make change, and we just turn it loose like we did at the. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I shouldn't do that. But anyway,
just stop it. Just stop it.
I know. I stopped it. I'm stop. Let's play the second rant, and this came today. And if you thought the first one had some, I didn't even hear the explicit lyrics in this one, in the first one. This one is like, Dolores Tucker, NCP team, this one might not be safe for work. So I'm gonna let you know. This next one might have a few words in it, Drew. Go ahead and play the second rant here by Ed Reed. This one came out today.
I'm mutting us. Man, get out of here, man. I should leave. I'm not even under contract doing this. I'm mutting us? Man, get out of here, man. They mutt me. These motherfuckers ain't even clean my goddamn office when I got here. I'm mutting y'all? Get your ass, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. All this shit here was trash in front of me. Who you think got this shit cleared out? That building right there got trash in it. It's fucking trash. What are you talking about? I need no goddamn donors to come out and help out, cause people just want money. That's why I don't fuck with social network. Fuck out of here, man. I've been mutting and showing shit. I chose not to. But now I'm out here walking with the football team, picking up trash. But I'm mutting us. Man, get out.
I promise y'all, this ain't no. No, I know. I look this. This ain't Wednesday. I swear this.
LLBAO.
AO.
Laughing my black
Look,
ass off.
Look, man, like, oh man, this is so unfortunate. Because I know we've been in the business of trying to keep stuff in house. If we want to correct our problems, we typically keep them in house and try to, just try to hey, let's get this done and whatever. But you got to understand who Ed Reed is. This is a passionate dude. Like, I'm not going to Bethune-Cookman should have known who this guy was. You got to understand, he has some classic speeches and just philosophies in general. If you listen to Ed Reed's Hall of Fame speech, this is no surprise. I'm talking about not Hall of Fame speech, but he did some speeches beforehand where he talked about doing the little things when it comes to being in an entity. He talked about trash specifically when it came to his teammates, like throw your towels and stuff in the bin and things of that nature. So when he sees stuff that needs to be done, he's going to go off, and he's passionate about the little things. He said, if you take care of the little things, basically, the big things will take care of themselves. And I understand that philosophy. So, but, if you're offended per se, then you got to understand who you hired. My notion, or really where I was kind of perturbed, was you're painting all HBCUs with a broad brush and basically saying that, okay, cool, I came in to save HBCUs as if, you are capable of doing so. And the thing about it is, we're not a monolith. We are a group, yes, and we have, certain things that unify us. We're not going to let everybody just, talk down on our institutions. But at the same time, you got to be wary of what you're dealing with when it comes to that, because it does, because of your reach, affect all of us. Like, we have to answer questions about, what A&T does and this, that, and the third, and I understood he said, I got to take, we're going to try to do this for HBCUs, but I got to take care of my school first. Well, yeah, that's great. I'm glad you understand that. But at the same time, I need you to, not paint us with the same stroke.
Yeah. That one, yeah, that one was a response to somebody. And I agree, I think it was the painting, like you said, of the broad stroke. No, your situation is a whole lot different than a lot of schools. And we all have our look. We've pointed out issues at Florida A&M that a lot of other schools don't have, and yet it's still better than other schools. Crazy part is, you're chasing excellence. You talk out, uh, and it's the same thing you guys over at A&T. You guys have tasted excellence. You want to maintain excellence. You heard Jackson State talk about Coach Prime dominating, excellent in everything. I heard him just give that speech again to staffers at that he's at. But it was the same thing he said. He wants the Jackson State page chasing excellence. And I know
is one. And everybody's going to get different ways in how you deliver it. But yeah, can't paint the don't paint every HBCU in the same. I'm everything seems out of order with this. There's a, and that's what is so different right now. You know, we haven't had an introductory press conference. We haven't had very much commentary. You got the head coach making statements that you know are tough. I don't know, a lot going on here. Yeah.
You still there, Bryan?
So I'm sorry. I thought I had everybody. Yeah. Still here?
We still here. Let me
Yeah,
go
we
ahead and
still
jump
here.
in while your internet
Okay. All
tries
right.
to catch up.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if it was my internet or my video, like I said, because I was ranting. And the last thing I want to do is just be talking off, and so I could do that in the bathroom. But anyway, any
TMI,
thoughts?
TMI, Bryan. You could have kept that one.
Come on, let's act like you're gonna act like y'all don't talk to yourself in the bathroom. Come on now, Jamie married and got kids. I know he talks to himself all the time in the bathroom. Anyway,
Absolutely.
I saw somebody post that we might have a press conference with Ed Reed here Tuesday, but
We heard that last
let's
week
put a
too,
bow
so
on
I
Ed
believe what
Reed.
I see it.
Yeah, let's put a bow on Ed Reed by saying Go ahead.
I just want to throw something out. We got public schools, we got private schools. We've got schools in different states. Whether you're public or private in certain states, there are certain things that schools can and cannot do in North Carolina that schools can and cannot do in Florida that schools can and cannot do in Alabama. So let's keep that in mind. Number two, let's touch the other elephant in the room, Bryan, and that's the God reference. I love Jackson State, that school in Mississippi. Y'all have no right to comment on this. Leave that to the rest of the HBCUs to comment on that portion of it, because when it was Prime talking about God, it was all good. Now, Ed Reed talking about God, some of y'all got a problem. Jackson State, STFU on this situation.
All right.
So I got to put that out there. And last thing, it is not uncommon for coaches, administrators to have a handshake agreement while the attorneys work out the language of a contract, and may even come and start doing some things because of certain calendars that you get in before you officiate. That is not uncommon, not only with HBCUs, but just in general when it comes to athletics, because of certain calendars and how things have to go. So, let's not be pressed. The only thing that would be egg on everyone's face is if all of this breaks down and he ultimately does not sign that contract. Moving on, Bryan.
Moving on. I thought one thing was interesting. New head coach of North Carolina A&T, Vincent Brown. I got that name right, correct?
You did.
In his press conference,
His what?
Someone asked.
They do that in North Carolina? I'm sorry.
They tight on their stuff.
Yes, they do.
They do that. They tight over there at A&T. They do that tight over there. Hey, in his presser, his introductory presser with the president, was it the chancellor and the AD, correct?
That is correct.
somebody asked the question of the trend of coaches coming from NFL alumni. And do you recall he answered to that question? I saw the video circulating a little bit before we came. So, do you recall his response to the question about, obviously he's a former NFL alum, but I thought it was interesting hearing his take about spending time working on his craft because he wanted to coach 20 years in trying to be a coach. And I don't know if it necessarily was a head coach at HBC, but being a coach somewhere where you lead young men and lead a program. What's your, after the presser, what's your take on Vincent Brown? What's Nation's take on Vincent Brown? And is he the guy that's going to lead us to these riches that you guys are seeking from the Colonial Athletic Association?
I love. First of all, I love. You good? You good? I love the hire, but I'm a little bit biased in that, and there's a reason for it. When I was coaching high school ball, my first job was with Vincent Brown at Meadow Creek High School in Norcross, Georgia. When he started his coaching, getting into the profession, he actually owned a paint company once he got out of the NFL, and just went on to do some different stuff. But George Pugh, former Alabama A&M coach and former Alabama alum, been in the ranks forever. He's now at Miles. George Pugh is. Took over as the head coach at Meadow Creek High School, and we were all on the same staff with Dr. Anthony Blevins of the New York Giants, assistant special teams coach, Mike Pitts, former Alabama defensive lineman, Philadelphia Eagle, Vincent Brown, and a few others. I was fresh out of A&T when I got that job, and this is 2003, and you kind of knew then, me being around that particular staff, knew they were going to go on to do some great things. We didn't do much winning at Meadow Creek, simply because, you got to have athletes if you're going to win. But as far as knowledge of football, man, I couldn't have been around people any better. And Vincent is a thorough teacher of the game. So it was no surprise. He was there for another, I think, 3 years, and then he went on to because Bill Parcells was one of his, they always kept in touch. Former NFL coach, Patriots, and his days with the Patriots, they had always kept in touch and kind of knew that he was always going to be a coach. So I think Vincent stayed there 4 years. He went on to serve as an athletic director there, assistant athletic director, and then he moved on to the Dallas Cowboys, where he was inside linebackers coach. And so you could kind of see the progression and where that went from there, as far as his knowledge of defense, him being a teacher of men, and you could kind of see where it was going. So I think A&T being in the CAA and him also being a HBCU alum coming from Mississippi Valley, I think it was the perfect hire because you get the best of both worlds. He knows the CAA in and out, being at William & Mary, but he also, had stints at Howard, Richmond. He's been an assistant head coach. It was just a matter of him getting his turn to be a head coach. So when he addresses, and I call him more so the celebrity, because there's always been NFL guys that have been within the HBCU ranks. It's just more so Deion Sanders being one of one that people think this is something new. It really isn't. But I think Vincent, in all the experience, this 20 plus years of experience being around these different names, I think him wanting to hone his craft and see what these kinds of people are doing, I think is where he was coming from. And now he is getting his opportunity to lead a group of men into something brand new. And so I love the hire. I know everybody wanted to go, splash, including the person we just talked about. There were some rumors in there as well that, Ed Reed was one of those names that alums were clamoring for. But I think you can't do any better than Vincent Brown.
I bet those like whoo, boy. Anyway, I do wonder if we will do a study 5 years from now and look at the Hall of Fame caliber guys who try to enter the question: Sanders, George, Reed, and will their years be how dramatically different will their tenures be from the guys like Brown, Eddie Robinson, guys who were solid, veterans, but they weren't necessarily the household names. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there is a clear level between Sanders, Reed, George, and Robinson, Brown, I don't know, whoever else might fit into that space. You know what I'm saying? There is a difference in guys, and so it'll be interesting what happens over 5 years, and it comes. But I applaud the hire because, like you said, the background in the CAA I think gives you all nice advantage into this upcoming season. Now, the other big piece of news I thought that came out of that presser was the announcement that North Carolina A&T State is going to make a commitment with a capital campaign that will be targeted purely for athletics. Give a little more detail, Jamie, about that as you understand it.
Well, I think some years ago when they were making these moves, it was very strategic. There were some things that were said, and I think a lot of it was PC in relation to why the shift was happening. Saving on travel, things of that nature. And whether you believe it or not, those were at least at least what was said. And so they also committed to knowing they would have to upgrade the facilities and make a commitment towards athletics. So within this press conference, Earl Hilton, which is the AD, and Chancellor Martin talked needing and actually put numbers to it, 80 to 100 million to upgrade the facilities and within the and so AD Hilton talked about by the end of January, you would see what those specifics are. So when you're talking about, the commitment level financially, yes, and you're going to see those specific things go on and be proposed because you had questions, whether or not it was long or not or a roundabout way. That's what people want to know. What are we going to do? You see some things that has gone on with A&T when it comes to acquiring of land, acquiring of stadiums. In particular, War Memorial Stadium when it comes to baseball and the renovations they have to, go on there. It's not just about football. And with them knowing that there is an $80 to $100 million capital investment that will go to athletics, and so a lot of times, there are schools that call for we need this, we need that. But a lot of times, there's not, dollar specific plan. Well, here they go. They said they're going to commit and show you what that plan is. So, kudos to them because when you make these kind of moves, when you leave a conference you've been in, since its inception, you have to, let people know and give details to the plan as to why you're doing or making moves. So I'm, glad and happy that they're finally saying, okay, here's the dollar signs. This is how we're going to do it. And he also included within that press conference saying that we can no longer rely on the backs of students to do this as well. That he was real, Chancellor Martin was real clear about this. He said, we're not going to, whether or not he didn't say we were going to raise student fees, but he did include us not or the institution not relying on the backs of students to make this happen. So there is a plan coming forth by the end of January that North Carolina A&T will commit or have this going on $80 to $100 million in upgrades within the athletic department to go within the same budgets that the other CAA counterparts are having. So we'll see what happens, buddy.
A lot of reason to be jealous of ATN. A lot of reasons.
Boy, you took the words out of my mouth, Brian, because I remember back in the early aughts when FAMU was getting ready to go under this ambitious plan similar to what A&T is going through now. We had declared our independence from the BAC. We were getting ready to go to FBS. At that time, or was that the late 90s? Late 90s, early 2000s. And the next thing you know, 199 violations came along and kind of put a hold on everything that FAMU was doing. And I'm going to be honest with you, it kind of seems like that might be part of a 10-year plan for A&T, as it looks like they may be positioning themselves to be if not the first, one of the first to go to FBS. And I'm wondering, with that type of budget capital campaign that A&T is talking about, and the money that it takes to go FBS, once they finally put out all of these standards for what it requires to become FBS, I wonder if A&T is going to say, all right, if we raise it this much money, okay, we can really go ahead and make this double leap instead of just making this leap to this conference and being competitive in this conference. I'm really wondering if that is the end goal there, Jamie.
I wouldn't doubt it. That could be something that works. It's always been rumored, but more innuendo than anything, as far as what the reasoning is. What the basis of even shifting conferences. But I think in these new, using Dr. Cavill's term, conference churning waters, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt, making that move conference wide. I'm just looking at the CAA in totality. And really, someone pointed this out, somebody pointed this out to me as well. And that is, when you're making these kind of moves, you really just have to get the pulse of what the school is in general. When you're raising this kind of money and finding out really what the new pulse of FBS will be, is one thing. The other thing is being able to compete in other sports as well. So when you're talking about them being able to compete in the CAA, we're seeing some of that now. I think track will be fine. I
Look
think
at women's basketball right now. Women's basketball
will be fine.
is right now.
I think we're competing. We're competing within that conference right now. Football is going to take time. The fan base has to be patient. I think, to A.D. Hilton's credit, and even the rest of that brain trust, I think scheduling has been pretty good as far as keeping the cultural points of who turns out, the crowds when it comes to HBCUs, other HBCUs that we play, such as, you got a Norfolk State on the schedule. You still have a North Carolina Central on the schedule for now. And even, and that's, remaining, and of course Hampton's on the schedule. So when it comes to A&T and what they're doing so far, I would say so good. Now, will that continue to last? Because, Tennessee State had some early success in their movements too. And eventually that kind of, teetered. And so we'll see if the same kinds of things happen. There are so many factors when it comes to competition. I think you're looking at a school that has great ambitions, and we'll see what that looks like. And again, like I told other people, and I've been on shows before, I'm not necessarily or wasn't necessarily a fan of the movement. I'm nostalgic when it comes to the MEAC, and those memories will always be there. And I'm also a major supporter of HBCU conferences, but we're not the only ones that left. So and I keep emphasizing that to people. We're not the only ones that left. So people's reasoning are their own. I won't be critical of anybody or anything or any moves that they've ever made. The MEAC is doing their thing, winning Celebration Bowls, but I'm sure expansion is still in their mind as well. Commissioner Stills has done a phenomenal job, and definitely puts that conference on their shoulders, and they continue their ascension. But at the same time, there are a lot of schools that left the conference. So when I speak on A&T's ambitions and goals alone, the MEAC wasn't in their strategic plan. I'm laughing at the comment. Yes, my checkbook is ready. As an alum, they draft it out of my account every month. Yes, I am. I'm
hey,
ready.
Look,
but
yeah, the Aggies weren't y'all weren't the only one to leave, but man, y'all were on top and y'all left. That's what hurt. You know what? That's what hurt people. Y'all pulled a Prime. Y'all pulled a Prime before. Y'all pulled Coach Prime before Coach Prime being Coach Prime. Y'all were on top, and then you left. And you left us. You just left the door, and the MEAC was like, "What? What did we do? What did we do? We thought we gave you everything. We gave you 3 Celebration Bowls, and then you left us." See the same hurt feelings that we watch Jackson State fans having, or some people, maybe not all. That's what y'all did. See, that's why people. No one talks about the other school that left because they weren't winning.
No, they don't. They never do. They never do talk about the other schools.
They didn't talk about it when they was in the
wow.
Brian, nobody talked about it when they was in the MEAC. Nobody talked about it when they was in the CIAA. Let's get ready to go to break, Brian.
All right. Yeah, let's go to break. Jamie, you gonna stick around for the outside the break, or you got to roll?
Nah, I'll stick around.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door. Tell your mama hungry.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Mobile banking from Truist actually works for you. It gives you simple, smart, personalized insights to keep you one step ahead. Because we think that's the kind of control you deserve over your money. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Truist. Download the mobile app now.
At Tyson, we know taste is local. Some like their beef pit smoked, their chicken spiced all the way up, or their pork sweet and saucy. Local flavors, global impact. That's what feeding the world is all about.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan Fulford, A.D. Drew, Jamie Walker here, and as we get ready to close down some of the some of the things on this show, got to give a shout out. We still have Jay. I'm still giving flowers to A&T, the Aggies, the HBCU showcase up in New York. There's a track meet, indoor track meet. The Aggies did a very good job. This was a meet that actually featured several schools. I mean, Division I, Division II, NAIA schools even. So it was pretty nice to kind of see. You know, guys, in track just feels like one of those sports that regardless of the school, I mean, if you can run, you can run. If you can jump, you can jump. If you can throw, you can throw. It was, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I could be off, could be wrong here, but it feels like, you know, when you see competitions where someone from a Division II school beat a field that had 10 different runners from Division I, it just feels like, okay, that's just a bad guy or girl. But the Aggies finished first in the men and women's. So props to their track and field program, already off to a great start. I'll do a little chest bumping as my Rattlers finished second and third. I think second in the women, third in the men, or vice versa. So that's big. That's big for us, especially there weren't a lot of sweat, but it's a good feeling, you know, saying that we did better than Prairie View, who I think has been a perennial in the swag last year. So it just maybe it means that we are going in the right direction. That's all I'm gonna say. Not gonna get too excited just yet, but you know, we are in Florida, as my man Kofi should say. We should be winning some doggone championships. We in Florida. All right, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, I got to make a mention. Obviously, last week about everything about the Fisk University gymnastics program. Again, if you're in the Atlanta area or in the Athens, Georgia area, over to Georgia University, because they will be competing tomorrow in an event I think it's a 3 or 4 team event, a tri event, I think is what I read. with Georgia and another school. So you get a chance to watch Fisk University compete against University of Georgia and another school. That'll take place Monday. But news came out this weekend that Talladega University, in conjunction or partnering with Brown Girls Do Gymnastics, and partnering with Talladega, the HBCU Gymnastics Alliance, to launch the college's first ever men's artistic gymnastics team. The partnership was unveiled during the HBCU Gymnastic Alliance collaboration on Saturday in Georgia. So now Talladega will join Fisk University, which has also partnered with BGDG, Brown Girls Do Gymnastics, HBCU Gymnastics Alliance, in developing the only HBCU women's artistic gymnastics program in the what? There will be two. Reading here, Talladega President Gregory J. Vincent, this historic moment will have a last pack. Establishing a women's gymnastics team at Talladega College will expand opportunities for HBCU student athletes to compete in a rewarding sport that fosters discipline, confidence, and success. Developing our first ever women's gymnastics team will also promote student and alumni engagement and pride, enhance the college's brand, and help create a pipeline of gymnastics. I think they will be competing in 2020 is what I read. Jamie, Drew, we got to start vernacular, and we got to start looking at gymnastics and start in what a half turn pipe backflip somewhere is, and all the other terminology that follows, because we might be talking about HBCU gymnastics a lot more in the years up ahead. Your guys' thoughts on the news on Talladega stepping into the world of gymnastics?
It's great that we've got another HBCU that is stepping into gymnastics, that is going to take that leap forward. And especially when you're talking about Title IX, as institutions look to add women's sports to make sure that they stay Title IX compliant. You know, gymnastics, and from what I get, gymnastics is not a cheap sport. You know, it's not like, say, bowling or golf or tennis that, you know, as far as equipment and other things. The scholarships are the same no matter what. It costs the same amount for a golf player to come to your school as a tennis player, as a gymnast. It's the other equipment and everything. And I wonder, you know, there's been speculation. I know Talladega has put together a committee to explore adding football also to their lineup. And I'm wondering if this may be for them the precursor for football, is adding the women's sport first, so that when they add football, they still remain balanced as far as Title IX, or is this the excuse not to add football because they just made this investment into gymnastics? But whatever that case may be, more power to the females out there. I love it. Would love to see it, and one day I'm gonna have to put that on my bucket list of HBCU events to go to. And think about this: with those two schools being only a few hours from each other, when and where we gonna have that matchup at?
I like it.
There you go.
I like it.
Any thoughts?
Ready.
Go ahead, Jay. Any thoughts you want to add in there, Jim?
Yeah, I love where it's going, because I think there are some other sports. Even though we love football, we love basketball. I think gymnastics and really other sports could be of value to our institutions as well. I know, you know, CEO Roy Evans has always talked about soccer being one of those sports that we needed to add as well. So I think the more the merrier if we can swing it. So
especially men's soccer.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think especially based on location of our institutions. You talk about the Southeast stretching out to the West. We can do these types of things. So I think you have you know more athletic participation, especially in women's sports in general. So I think gymnastics, and I like gymnastics, but I could not tell you the first clue vernacular wise of what's going on. But I do enjoy, I do enjoy seeing it, and any opportunity to advance the academic footprint through athletics, I'm all for.
I got to do what I want to see HBCUs get into, Jamie and Brian. I want to see lacrosse.
Yeah,
I really want to see HBCU
Brian Simpkins.
lacrosse.
Yes.
Yes.
One of the greatest lacrosse players to ever live, Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
Yeah. Swears by it. The sport is great, man.
Black College Sports Network's very own Michael Washington. He has not one but two sons who played lacrosse and were not able to go to an HBCU to play lacrosse. They went to a historically white college to play lacrosse. So I wonder if they would have been afforded the opportunity to go to an HBCU that played lacrosse, would they have made that decision? Obviously, they made the best decision for them, for their academic and athletic futures. But I'm just curious about that. I would love to see lacrosse at some of our institutions.
I don't see why not. I think lacrosse is. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No. I think AD has a great point when it comes to lacrosse. There are some sports that we could excel at. I'm just talking about just what we're playing. If you're talking about kids not being able to, we all can't get on a basketball court. We all can't get on a football field. But if you're talking about evening out the playing field when it comes to both males and females being able to play, I think HBCU should have it. And I think the cost of it per se, because you can use some similar fields. Of course, there'll have to be some arrangements made, but absolutely, I think, especially if it adds to the dynamic.
Soccer field,
if it adds to the dynamic and who you're able to bring into your institutions, absolutely.
Diversity. I think it adds much diversity. Soccer and lacrosse, along with gymnastics, adds much diversity to our core students there at our HBCUs.
I would. I'm gonna sound anti the excitement on that, but I would want. I want a focused commitment from more administrators in athletic departments and more marketing within departments to find to engage and their fan base and get more people on these current sports that you have. The softball, volleyball. See, I get the whole expansion and bringing in new stuff. But if the stuff that's been there for 20, 30 years is not being marketed and drawing people, don't we risk those sports being less attended or eventually falling into sort of this pit of,
can I answer that?
This whatever kind of pit you want to call it, that those schools, that those sports sit. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's my only hang up. Like, I'd love to be able to sit here and say, hey man, I'd love to see wrestling just as much as you'd love to see lacrosse and gymnastics and all this other stuff. But we don't market volleyball, softball, baseball, tennis.
I'd say 75% don't market it
Can,
as well as they market football.
can I answer that?
Yeah, go.
When the, when our HBCUs decide to invest in the sports information and marketing departments, then you may see the marketing of that stuff. When you've got one person trying to cover 14 sports with a student helper, it's impossible. Especially during the springtime when you've got baseball, softball, tennis, maybe men, maybe women, depending on your university, track, maybe men, maybe women, golf, maybe men, maybe women, and then SIAC, they've got men's volleyball, which is a spring sport. That's 7 sports right there going
Yeah.
on concurrently.
And you want to add more spring sports? Really? More spring sports? This is how.
No,
Yeah.
my point is you need to add people in the marketing departments of these institutions, sports information department, more student interns, allocate more money for that. Just like you can go out and figure out more money to pay these coaches. Well, if you market it a little bit better, then maybe you could get even more money to bring in quality coaches. But if don't nobody know that you got these sports going on, it's kind of hard to go out and raise money when you can't report about it because people want to see where their money is going. And yes, who was that? Jeremiah Clark. Yes, I would love to get good at baseball. I would definitely love to get good at baseball when it comes to our HBCUs. But once again, we got to put our money in the right place. But y'all, it must be King. It's the King holiday. I'm trying to stay non-violent this weekend. Hey, y'all starting to get my blood boiled with some of these conversations that we having up in here, my brother. I'm sorry. Oh, and by the way, I'll let Jamie go through this roll call before we get into our polls and everything. Jamie, you want to shout out some of the paying hair? We've had multiple. Every time I look at my timeline this week, we've got in the month of January, we've got
Somebody.
all these anniversaries. So go ahead, Jamie, since you're the paying hair representative over here. Go ahead and shout out everybody with the anniversary this month.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. January 9th, 1914, the Bros, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. That's me. Blue 5. Roy, if you were on, I know you'd be shouting back. Of course, this week, it was, wow, everybody almost. It felt
All
like,
the
especially
females, it seemed like.
yeah, at the school. Shout out to the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Their Founders Day was today. On the 13th, which was Friday, the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was on Friday. And of course, tomorrow, the ladies of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, their Founders Day. So, hey man, it's been crazy. It has been crazy, but the Divine Nine and those organizations have given so much. I know our motto, brotherhood, scholarship, and service, and somewhere around all of those, we have those mandates to give back and to continue having our causes go forward and helping where we can. So definitely to all that had their Founders Day this week and through the month of January, hey, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations to and happy Founders Day to all of those organizations. The most dearest to my heart today, for Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated. My mom was an AK silver line to cross over at Norfolk State University. She was on the first line, but that's a sore subject. God rest her soul. But anyway, that she should have been. Anyway, she's second ever line. Loved her alumni chapter in Indianapolis, Indiana. Remember those mom always at those monthly meetings. like clockwork. Never missed them. That love for her sorority runs deep. My sister bled off her. She joined post grad, but she became a big part of that chapter, and she's moved, been a part of those other grad chapters. But it's just happy Founders Day to all the beautiful ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha. I got family that's Deltas, Zetas, our own Melody Edwards. She's a Z Phi. Rose.
No.
So I mean,
No,
Sigma
please
Gamma.
say no.
Sigma
I
Gamma
didn't say
Rho.
that right. I
SG
didn't say
Rho.
the Sigma Gamma Rho. I'm sorry.
SG Rho.
Let me say that.
SG Rho.
SG Rho. Okay, whatever I said, SG Rho.
Don't
I'm sorry.
repeat it. Just leave it out there.
I won't. Okay.
We put that in the blooper
Okay. You didn't
reel.
hear whatever. You didn't hear what you heard. Yeah. So we'll just leave it at that. So okay, moving on. Can we get to basketball in the top 5 before I get hate mail from some sorority
Let's get to the poll.
organization? Last thing I need is women throwing hate mail at me. You know what I'm saying? Last thing I want or need. I need love mail, not hate mail. Okay. Let's start with the tie for Division 1. This is week number 3 of our rankings. You know, people are still trying to how these rankings work, guys. These are computer generated rankings. You know, I'll get messages on some of the accounts and they say, "How is so and so not number 1?" I don't know. Ask the computer. The computer says that maybe it's their strength of schedule. Maybe it's the non-conference. For a reason, they're number 1 yet. Okay, have to preface. Now, these were put together as of going into the 14th, or these are through January 14th. So they don't
last
include
night
that were played today.
And can I give those
January
updates on the Division 1 level?
Can what now?
I was gonna say we start with Division 1 women, correct?
Yes.
All right. Two updates that are not included on these rankings are Delaware defeated North Carolina A&T 69-52. These are women's scores that I'm about to get. And I don't even know how to explain this score in college basketball. Hampton defeated, is that UNC Wilmington, Jamie? It says UNCW.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's UNC Wilmington.
38-34? That looked like a 1-8 basketball game right there.
They playing 4 quarters, right? Quarters.
Was the game called?
I don't know.
Anyway, they had shot clock on? That looked like pre-shot clock.
That was like less than 10 points a quarter, man. That had to be brutal to sit through, coach through, to stat through. I mean, that's brutal. A lot of misses.
Yes. But that
all right, so
that loss right there brings a 6-game winning streak to halt for North Carolina A&T State.
Yeah, they were what, tied for first or in first in the Colonial.
Yeah, I think
up until
it's still tied. I think Drexel lost, so they're still tied for first.
Both sitting 5-1 if this is updated on the CAA site, if everything is updated.
All right, let's get to the NCAA Division 1 top 5. Of course, for the third consecutive week, the number 1 team, the Norfolk State Spartans. Nope, that's Ed Reed. There we go. Norfolk State Spartans 15-3. The Fighting Wildcat. Anyway, the Spartans are fifth. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't help but do that. It's that Rattler in me that just see a Wildcat going wild. I just can't myself. But anyway, Norfolk State is 15-3, 3-0 in the MEAC. As mentioned, the Aggies are number 2 They were 9-5 as of this graphic, but now they are 9-6, 5-1. Morgan's number 3, now 9-6, 2-0 in the MEAC. Jackson State suffered their first loss against a SWAC opponent, regular season and tournament, for the first time in 40 games. They dropped to 6-8, 3-1 in conference play. Bethune-Cookman, yikes. Despite the 4-10 record, they're 3 in the SWAC. And so, I know that'll agitate a lot of people, I'm sure, when you see a 4-10 team, but we should understand how all that works itself out. And as you see from last week, Bethune-Cookman new to the top 5, Jackson State coming up from 5-4 despite the loss. All right, let's move over to Division II. And over on the Division II side, again, for another consecutive week. I don't know if it's the 3rd consecutive week. This is our week 3. But Tuskegee Golden Tigers come in at 14-3, unbeaten 11-0 in SD. Followed up closely by West Virginia, who moved up in the polls this week, 13-2 overall, 8-2 record. Savannah State dropped to 11-3, 6-3. Of course, they had their home win streak snapped, but they're still one of the top teams in the SIC. How about Lane College, 10-4, 6-2 in conference, holding steady at 4th. And Miles comes in to the poll for the first time. Week 9-4, 5-3. So top 4 teams kind of stay in order. Miles is new. You can see kind of in the hunt. A host of teams having pretty good seasons. Lincoln, PA, to pay attention to that team. Is that the correct Lincoln, PA, Drew? Because I know
Yes.
that should be Lincoln. Yeah, okay. CIAA
Yeah.
Lincoln, PA, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So that would, yeah, okay. Had a brain fart there. I had to make sure because I didn't see other CIAA teams. And that would be the highest ranking CIAA team right now. Winston-Salem, right there behind them at 9-6 overall, 5-2. About Distributia, are they an independent school?
No, they are in. I'll tell you what conference they are in just a moment, but keep going.
Elizabeth City and Fayetteville State of the in the hunt. If this were a top 10 poll, they would be 9-10. Top 10. While Drew looks that up, Jamie, any comments thus far when you look at these rankings on the women's side from the NCAA Division 1 or Division 2?
They are in the East Coast Conference.
Okay.
Honestly, just the quality of basketball being played right now. First of all, let me give shout outs to all of those media corporations that are putting out such great content and just broadcasting when it comes to these games. And give, shout out to HBCU Go, HBCU League Pass Plus. Like I love what I see. Absolutely loving what I see. But just the quality of basketball in general, man, I'm loving what I'm seeing because you can see the emphasis on just high quality ball and the push to be better seeds going into the tournament. Those, especially on the Division 1 level, where you got multiple teams that are bidding, to be known. And when it comes to tournament time, I hope the quality of ball is making a difference, especially on the Division 1 level where you got Norfolk State up there, you got Jackson State doing this thing, who suffered a loss to I think Prairie View the other day. Just high quality games, and on the Division 2 level, I love what Savannah State is doing right now. I mean, they were the heat a few years ago, and they're continuing to keep that train going, man. So kudos to those programs.
Yeah, keep preaching discipline, folks. Coaches, fans, keep encouraging these kids, stay disciplined and stay focused. The more teams that we can see in the postseason, the better. And usually at today, the teams that advance are the teams that are the more
disciplined teams. All right, last women's poll is our NA poll, and that has been our most fluid. A lot of shakeup there on the NAIA level.
All right, and I'm going to go over this one, Brian, on this one because there's a couple of corrections to the graphic that should be made. The records are not corrected on the graphic, but the rankings are in the right order. So I'm gonna give those with the correct records. In the hunt on the women's side is Stillman coming in at 12-5, 4-4. 64 points. Xavier 9-6, 4-4, 58 points, and Wiley 10-4, 1-2 in conference with 57.58 points. Coming in at number 5 is Fisk. Fisk is 7-5, 2-1, and they have accumulated 66.1 points. Coming in at number 4 is Langston, 12-5, 7-4, 71.19 points. Coming in at number 3 is Philander Smith, 10-3, 2-1, 75.2 points. Coming in at number 2 is Florida Memorial, 10-5, 7-1, 80.6 points. And our new number 1 this week is the Bearcats of Russ College, coming in at 9-3, 3-0 in conference, 87.8 points. Also, give us some updates from some scores today, Brian. In the GCAC, these games were not counted in this graphic. Russ defeated Oakwood 70-50, so that brings them to 10-3, 7-1. And Tougaloo defeated Southern University at New Orleans 68-48. Does not affect our rankings. Wiley, who was one of our in the hunt schools, Wiley defeated Dillard 52-48. That brings Wiley to 10-4, 2-2 in conference. And Fisk defeated Philander Smith. So our number 5 defeated our number 3 today, 73-63. That brings Fisk to 8-5, 3-1, and drops Philander Smith to 10-4, 2-2 in conference. So we'll make those updates to the graphic before we post those to Twitter on tomorrow.
Right, Twitter and Instagram, both of those will
Yes.
go out tomorrow. So as soon as you get those adjusted, we'll make sure those get posted. All right, let's go over to the men's top 5 level. A bit of a shakeup in the men's level. Of course, last night the number 1 team lost. They dropped down to number 3. That was Norfolk State. That moved up the team who was number 2, Southern University. Got a chance to watch them the other day against Grambling it was, and Southern looks pretty good, coached by Kentucky alum and also Indianapolis Cathedral High School alum, Sean Woods. So they move up, still unbeaten in the SWAC, 5-0. And I saw some of his post-game comments, and they talk about being the hunters. So it's like, okay, go get them. Go eat. So, Southern, watch out for Southern. Number 2, interesting. Morgan State comes from out of the non-ranked bottom, out of the top 5, all the way up to number 2. Good week for the Morgan State Bears. North Carolina Central is steady at number 4. And Grambling dropped from 3 down to 5 after the tough road loss to Southern. Maryland Eastern Shore, Alcorn State, Howard, who got a win, controversial for many, against Norfolk State, are also in the hunt. Is there a game on NBA TV tomorrow for MLK Day in Division I level?
I know there's a game on Fox. The Howard and Morehouse game is on Fox Sports. Not sure if there's an NBA TV game. I don't think so.
Okay, I know they did that last year
Yeah.
with a special game on MLK. I think it was or maybe it was the All Star Weekend when they did that game
I
on
know that I
NBA
know there'll be
TV.
some games during All Star Weekend on NBA TV, but Fox Sports has game. In addition to, I believe HBCU Go has some games tomorrow, and HBCU League Pass Plus will have some games tomorrow. And Brian, it was interesting yesterday, and this is kind of a sidebar, but along the same subject. I was at the Albany State Benedict game. And while I was at the game, I had the Morehouse Savannah State game on my iPad. And there were a couple of people there just amazed that quickly was able to find the game and have it up on the iPad while I was there working the Albany State game. And I think one of the referees, this was during the women's game, one of the referees for the men's game recognized me and asked me about a game that they had did, one of the Benedict games. And then I quickly showed him where the link to the Benedict game was, because, referees like to watch themselves also to critique themselves. So being able to show that, but it was just kind of interesting. How many people do not realize how much of this content is out there? And all you have to do is know where to go find it. And I was just showing people. Obviously, I started with stuff with Black College Sports Network first, but then I was showing them what some of the other stuff was too. Because we go with Black College and HBCU League Pass Plus first, but we are aware of the other ones and do have to watch the other ones so that we can report on them accurately.
Great point. Great point. Jamie, any thoughts there on the men's top 5 teams in the hunt?
Nah, so far so good. I'm looking for Howard to move up, in the rankings, and we'll see where they end up. Controversial win at Norfolk State. As we've seen that kind of bantied about in the discussions, but just quality ball. I'll just go back to what I said earlier. We're getting down to the clutch now when it comes to basketball. So curious to see how conference play will go.
I did make a bet on another show that Southern and Grambling will be 2 of the SWAC men's basketball teams to make it to the final. Did I say the final 8 or the final 4? I'm trying to see what these guys are going to hold me to. Hopefully the final 8, and that I didn't say final 4.
Final 8 is making the tournament, Brian.
Yes, that's why I said at least. But anyway, no, I think I said I said okay. Here's the bet. I said Southern and Grambling would be 2 of the top 4 seeds going into the SWAC men's tournament. That was the bet. So I'm saying it here too. Southern and Grambling will be 2 of the top 4 seeds.
Hold them to that.
I'm not saying they're gonna go to the semifinals or the champion. I'm just saying when the seeding comes out, you see Southern and Grambling in the top 4. Period. Don't hold me to anything else. That's it.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to Division II, Drew. How about number 1? Again, West Virginia State, 15-1 record, 7-1 in conference play, by a wide margin over the number 2 team who moved up from 5-2. That's Miles College. They're in 4-0 in the SIC. Pair of Virginia schools coming in at 3-4. Virginia State drops from 2-3. They are 12-5, 4-1 in conference. And Union comes out of the non-ranked in the hunt category into the number 4 spot. Tuskegee, who I believe they may have lost, Drew, if I'm not correct.
Yes, they lost last night.
Yesterday.
Oh, yesterday afternoon. Yes.
Dropped from 4 down to 5. In the hunt, you've got Kentucky State, Claflin, stay awake. 12-3 4-3 conference play. Lemoyne. Jamie, do you know who the head coach of Lemoyne Owens is? This was a trivia question yesterday.
Bonzi Wells.
Oh, you answered that kind of quick, so good job. Savannah State and Winston-Salem State. Yeah, that was pretty good. I think either I or Drew struggled with that one yesterday. I don't know who asked the question, but whoever asked struggled.
I asked you, Brian.
You asked, struggled? Is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay. You asked and I struggled. Okay. I figured it was something like that. All right. Going over to the NAIA men's level.
Before you give that, Brian, before you give NAIA, I want to give you the scores from the GCAC for today.
Okay.
Because these are not reflected in the scores. Russ defeated Oakwood 88-57, and Tougaloo defeated Suno 87-64. Games that will be played tonight: Dillard and Wiley. We're Wiley at Dillard, and Philander Smith at Philander Smith at Fisk. And that's the last of the GCAC roundup for the weekend. They've got a roundup in Nashville held at Fisk, and they've got another one held at Dillard also this weekend, as they brought the teams there for kind of a pod play. And it's kind of good because it gives them their tournament atmosphere, 3 games in 3 days, just like you go do in the tournament. So GCA teams should be well prepared for the tournament as they would do their pod. I know at least one other time, if not 2 other times this season. Go ahead with the NAIA.
Let me ask this though, and I'll maybe I'm stirring the pot here. Do we like the pods? I mean, we are now. I mean, originally when pods came out, we thought because of the COVID it was a good thing. But now that I'm not going to say COVID is gone, but now that we're past a lot of the COVID type restrictions, are we simply taking away home games and opportunities to sort of, have these contests at home and give true home and road advantages when you do these pod things? Your thoughts, Drew, and then Jamie.
I like it when you're dealing with limited resource institutions, such as a lot of our NAIA schools are. I mean, let's think about the GCAC. Most of our schools in the GCAC are limited resource. Think about geographically. If you are a Fisk who has to travel to Wiley to play on it doesn't matter if it's a Saturday game or a Monday game. Because if it's a Saturday game, essentially you're leaving on Thursday to get to that game because you're going to travel all day Friday by bus to get to the Dallas area for that game against Wiley, or vice versa. And the same thing, if you play it on a Monday night, well, it's gonna be Wednesday before those kids are back in class. Let's be real, because you're gonna spend all day Monday night and into Tuesday driving back to Nashville. Let's be real. You can't expect those kids to go to class after being on that bus, even though, I've had to do it when I was coaching at Tuskegee. Kentucky State was our furthest trip at that point in time, and we would get in 5, sometimes 6 o'clock in the morning. And as the lowest coach on the totem pole, I was the one who had to go through and check and make sure those kids was in them 9 o'clock classes while the rest of the coaches slept until we had practice that afternoon at 4 or 5 o'clock. So, but yeah, I do see the benefits of it as long as you rotate the pods accordingly. There needs to be a pod down in Texas. You've got one in Nashville. You got one in New Orleans, and you got to have one in the either Huntsville or Arkansas or Mississippi, one of these other spots. As long as you rotate these pods accordingly and everybody has a fair chance, be it over 1 year, be it over 2 years, to actually host these pods, I have no problem with it.
Jamie, what's your take on pods?
I don't mind, because in fact, and I'll kind of take this back to A&T for a second when it comes to their football scheduling, having two permanent partners and then rotating the rest of the schedule. They kind of have their own pods. I don't mind it, especially when it comes to what AD was talking about, the low resource institutions, and making it easier both academically and financially to be able to pull off an entire season. I like it. It gives some continuity. It also gives the ability to be able to not put the institution in a strain, but also, hey, you got to go win those games in the subsect that you're in. It's about winning. So, I like it. I happen to like it.
One other thing, Brian, I think this is a setup to get coaches and people in the right framework. UVI comes into the conference next year. And this is probably going to be how UVI is going to get their games in, is via this pod system. So let's go through, let's do it this year. Let's work out this kinks. What we've got 8 teams in the conference now. So basically you're going to have 9 teams. So you're going to have to play pods of 3, 3, and 3. And somewhere, somebody ultimately will probably have to travel to UVI. Can you imagine each team in the GCAC having to play a road game at UVI? Hell, who's UVI's travel partner gonna be?
Right.
Because I don't care what it is, you have to fly to the Virgin Islands. There's no bus company that's gonna take you to the Virgin Islands. So this may be thing, and will help UVI out on their travel, because they're kind of used to it. They fly to the States and then they bus around the United States and play their games out anyway. But this may be a precursor to what they're going to be doing next year with UVI coming in, and hopefully they'll get a 10th team into the conference, because that'll bring them to 9, assuming everyone stays. Because at 10, that means you become a double bid conference, and a double bid conference means you get two tournament bids in basketball. That means you get your tournament champion plus your regular season champion. And if your regular season champion is the tournament champion, then you get to send your second place team. That's up to the conference whether they send a tournament runner up or the regular season runner up. So hopefully we can get to that 10th team in the GCAC.
All right. Speaking of the NAIA level that the GCAC is in, let's finish out the top 5 men's with a GCAC team that is now sitting in the number 1 spot after, of course, as mentioned, Langston's loss on Saturday on the road, which dropped them to 16-1 and the 3 spot, actually. Tougaloo moved up to number 1 with a 14-1 record, in conference play. Dillard, we haven't seen Dillard in the rankings in a while, long time. It's been a few years for Dillard, but they seem to be on the upward trend as they moved up to number 2. They are 10-1 overall, 3-0 in conference play. We already mentioned Langston. Philander Smith dropped a spot 3-4, and Xavier stays at 5 with Stillman in the hunt. So that's the top 5 in the NAIA. And again, we'll post all of these top 5s with the corrected scores and records through January 14th. That's Saturday night. So none of the games from Sunday or Monday will be there. So when you see the tweet, and if you're on Instagram, when you see that go out, don't freak out. There'll be people in the comments complaining, how is so-and-so number 1? They just lost on Monday.
That's because you're looking at it Tuesday.
People don't. What we have to do, Drew, is have to put a little note down there in the bottom underneath where it says the ranking, put like games played through Sunday, whatever. Just a thought. I type that, and I'm sure you do too. But when we send these out, we type them out. All right. Well, let's kind of wrap up for tonight. For you, anything that we missed or anything you want to add as we get ready to hit the door?
Did you say me?
I thought I said Jamie, but I give Jamie
okay.
the first out.
Because you chopped right when you
cut
called
off.
one of my names.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, 5G. All right, go ahead.
They owe you for one. That's what I'm gonna tell you.
You crazy. But nothing much, man. I'm just excited to see really where this goes. This basketball season has been fast and furious, and to kind of quote or paraphrase a Stephen A. Gaither, I tweeted out something about MEAC SWAC and the media days loading for football. He said, man, watch out for this basketball that's being played, man. Don't forget about it. Be a fan. So I'm excited about what the basketball, even though I'm a football head, what these basketball teams are doing out here, man, and just continuing the HBCU path. And baseball practice is getting in. Baseball and softball.
About 3 weeks.
It's coming
3
up.
weeks away.
Yeah, absolutely. So just looking forward to continuing the mission.
All right, Drew, what do you got to close it down for tonight?
Hey, if you've been going to these conference athletic websites over the last week or so, you got tournament ticket packages on sale. So check out your favorite conference, make your travel plans, and pick up your conference tournament tickets. Go ahead and get your packages. Some of them are very reasonably priced. I would get them now because before they jack up the prices. If you haven't gotten hotels in that area, should you need a hotel, I suggest you do that now while rooms are readily available for those conference tournaments. Jamie kind of stole my thunder with the with the baseball thing, but baseball and softball are getting ready to start up real soon, and just the smell of the freshly cut grass, that first cut of the year, and just how you get that aura in the air when you get that first cut, and then what that first rain on top of that first cut, man, can't wait on it. That's what I like baseball season. I don't like when the mosquitoes come out. I don't like when the sun start beating on top of this bald head right here. Y'all can keep that part of it, but that first part, and I really don't. It's about March is what I like, because February, you got to bundle up. It's cold outside. Baseball not meant to be played when it's 35 degrees outside. Just want to say that. But hey, this is Dr. King, the Dr. King holiday. Today is his official birthday, January 15th, 1929, and tomorrow we celebrate the holiday. So let's remember what we have made this holiday into. Yes, it's another day off for a lot of us. There's some of us some people who have to work, but for most of us, we have the day off. But the question is, what are you going to do with your day off? Are you just going to stay in the bed and sleep? Or are you going to catch up on some stuff around the house? Or are you going to use this as a day of service, like this day has been turned into as a day of service? So whatever you choose to do, I hope that you are productive with it and do something positive with the day. Jamie, even if it's nothing but being of service to the wife and getting a honeydew list, that is a day of service around the house. So whatever it is.
More of a lifetime of servitude.
I don't think that's what Dr. King. I don't think that's what Dr. King intended. But anyway, go ahead, continue, Drew.
Ask Coretta about that and see what she say. But I do ask everybody to do one thing please take a few moments tomorrow if you have kids or if you have nieces or nephews or other young people. Please take a moment to teach them about somebody besides Dr. King, because Dr. King is not the answer to every black trivia question. Teach them about somebody else, but also teach the importance of a Dr. King.
Great point, Drew. Solid for all of you. Want to thank everybody on Facebook, on YouTube for engaging with us. Please share the stream. Let people know about our show. Let them know about the Black College Sports Network. We continue to try to bring more coverage of basketball, men and women basketball online. As baseball and softball season come, it'll be here before you know it, and we'll be broadcasting for those sports as well. If you or someone you know is interested in covering and talking more about softball and baseball, email info@myjbn.com.
You cutting out, Brian.
myjbn.com.
I'm gonna repeat that, Brian. That was info@myjbn.com.
Yeah, my signal's going bad. It's a bad time to be doing promo. Thanks again to a wide network provider for once again crapping on my evening.
Now you coming in clear.
I'll say I get it. So anyway, I will say info@myjbn.com if you know somebody or yourself are interested in providing some extra coverage with us this year in softball and baseball. We'd love to talk with you being a part of the network and what we are doing. Because just like we're covering basketball, we'll have loads of softball and baseball games upcoming in the next few months. All right, that's going to do it. Appreciate everybody for watching. Go download the BCSN Pod Zone everywhere you download and listen to pod. We're on Amazon Music, Spotify, Art, Google, and Apple Podcast is where you can find us. So, Jamie Walker, we appreciate you joining us and hanging in with us tonight. For AD, nice job. Remember, folks, sometimes you just gotta laugh, and these are just jokes out here. Don't take everything so serious, and let's just stay calm. Learn 23 into 22 all over again, and let's just kind of see how the week plays out. How about that? That's going to do it for the BCSN SportsWrap. Thanks for watching and listening. And for Jamie, AD, I'm Brian. Peace out. Happy King Day, everybody.
Well, holla.
But you stay hard.